Bowen.
We're going to ask that Coach Schmidt makes an opening statement, and then we'll take questions for the student athletes following his statement.
Yeah, I thought we got off to a decent start. Offensively, I thought we struggled, especially the first 10 minutes of the game. I don't think they made a shot outside of 4 feet. We had a hard time keeping them in front. You know, Doherty really hurt us the whole game. But I thought as the game went along, I thought our defense got a little bit better. We showed some resistance in the paint. And I thought, you know, we shot the ball well, you know, 13 for 24 from threes. We shared the ball, 24 assists. You know, it was a good performance. And as I told the team in tournament play, you got to win the first one. And you can get some momentum and you can move on. And I thought that, you know, our guys really played hard, played together unselfishly, and now we move on to play a really good George Mason team that's beat us twice.
Questions for the student athletes in front. Eric will bring you the mic.
Dasonte, had assists on almost 70% of baskets tonight from the team. You know, what are you just making ball movement within the team? How you guys are just flowing together?
I think the most important thing is we're just making the right play each time, or at least trying to. And when we do that, I think we're a dangerous team. We got a lot of guys that can make shots. So when we're moving the ball like that and guys are able to walk into their three or just catch and shoot openly, I think we're going to make most of those shots, and I think that's what happened tonight.
Dasonte, with you being the team captain here, in big games like this in the postseason, how important is leadership?
It's major, but I think followers are even more important than the leader. You know, you got to have for guys that are willing to follow, and guys bought into my leadership early on, and they never turned. And I think that's starting to show now. We stuck together through tough times, and as Coach said, when it gets to the postseason, it's a clean slate. So that's how we're looking at it, win one day at a time.
Frank, you get off to a little bit of a slow start, sit a little bit on the bench, and then you go back in, and it's almost like, you know, you flipped the switch. Kind of what was that adjustment, and you might have delivered one of your best games of the year?
Honestly, it comes down to the coaching staff and the teammates, you know what I mean? They believe in me, whether I'm good, bad, or ugly. You know, Schmidt on me 24/7, so he gave me encouragement to do what I had to do, and that's what happened. You know, the guys found me down the stretch, and I was able to get comfortable. I was able to do my thing, and I just remember Schmidt said at the beginning of the year, blue collar mindset, do a little, grab a rebound, grab something, and the game will come to you, and that will happen.
Both of you guys, coach announced he's not coming back. How's that affecting your run right now?
I don't think it affects it at all. I mean, we might play for him a little more, but as he's told us, he's one of the most selfless people I've ever met. He wants us to just play for each other and not focus on the outside noise, so that's what we've been trying to do.
Knowing that this game over the last of the season, did today feel any different? And if so, what were the emotions like?
Just the urgency. Obviously, we have to have urgency throughout the whole season, but you know, this is you can't come back in the gym and work on the next game after this. You know what I mean? This is go home and win or go home. You know what I mean? So there's a level of urgency, and we understand how important it is to the program and the guys who did it before us. You know what I mean? So we're trying to just go out with a bang and just go out there and play hard. And how the chips fall. But today, you know, we did the game plan and it fell our way, and we're gonna keep on rolling because the job's not done.
Frank, let's just say you had some big minutes off the bench. Can you talk about the impact of that, having someone like him to help you take a breather every now and then?
Yeah. Andrew's a good kid. He works hard no matter what. You know what I mean? I think his ceiling is tremendously high, and you know, he comes in here and works hard and knows what he has to do. He blocks shots like I never before, and he taught me how to play against guys bigger than me, because during practice he would block my shot, and you know, freshman in him, he would talk a lot of garbage and got under my skin, but man, he's a good kid, and for him coming off the bench, it helps us a lot. It gives me a break, and you know, when I start games like that, he helps me, and you know, we keep rolling with him.
Additional questions for the student athletes? Thank you, fellas. Well done. Questions for Coach Schmidt again. Please identify yourself and your affiliation for your question.
Spencer Bates, Orient Star. Coach, one of the things you said coming into this tournament is that the teams that win early get comfortable on this court. You mentioned the adjustments you guys made early. How much credit are you giving your guys for making those adjustments and maintaining that large lead you established?
Yeah, I thought, you know, LaSalle beat us in game one. They shot they were averaging 5 threes a game. They made 8 against us. They got to the foul line. They were 20 for 20 from the line. They killed us on the backboard. I think we had more offensive rebounds than defensive rebounds. Just physically, they beat us up. And, you know, it was a close game. We lost by 4, I believe. And it got off to an ugly start today. They were beating us again, you know, down the lane. And, you know, someone mentioned Andrew. I thought he was a big difference. You know, he came in, you know, was able to be a little bit of a rim protector. But I thought we gathered ourselves, and you know, when you make 13 for 24 from threes, it helps. You know, and you look at the stats, it's probably from a numbers perspective, it's probably one of our better defensive performances. They shot 43%, 25% from threes. They only made 4 threes. You know, so our offense was good, but I thought our defense, you know, picked up as the game went along, and that was, you know, we out-rebounded. They out-rebounded us in game 1. We got them by 11. You know, so we played better, but we got to play much better tomorrow.
Ryan Lombardi, tap integrator only. And Coach, Caden picked up his second foul early in the second half, and then it went to a break. And during the break, you kind of said something to him. You were kind of coaching him up on the floor, and you know, you got down a little bit. Just what were you kind of saying there?
Nice. My hamstring's a little bit sore now. It's just we wanted to get into the gaps. You know, LaSalle's not a great shooting team. You know, and they're a dribble drive team, and you know, he was too low, and then when he helped too low. You know, so I was trying to make sure. You know, I went back to 1985. Got in my defensive stance, even though I wasn't a great defensive player myself. But it's just trying to keep the ball in front. That's all.
Coach Carson Hayek with the Buzz. You talked about earlier having high character guys on this team. The season that you guys have had, how important, what benefits do you guys have from high character
When you have good guys, guys that are competitors, you know, we're 0-9 in games that decide by 5 or less points. And, you know, as I told the team, you know, we can compete and we can beat anybody when we play well. And, you know, just you take 5 games, you go, you know, 5 and 4, and, you know, you got 20 wins. And that's the fine line between winning and losing. And we haven't made enough winning plays to come out on the right side. But as Dasonte said, you know, it's a clean slate. Everybody's 0-0. You know, now let's go out and try to win some games. And the kids responded. But if you don't have character guys, if you don't have good guys, you know, when adversity hits, you know, they can splinter. And they did. You know, we got good leadership. We got good followers. You know, and we've had our ups and downs, but the kids have stuck with us.
Coach, I asked that question to them because I really feel that these guys are going to give you a run here, and I know you got a big game tomorrow. That was a dominant performance.
Thanks.
Today.
Thanks.
It really was. And I just got this feeling that you guys are going to go.
Hopefully you're right, but you know, it's you know, one game. Now we got to move on. You know, and try to get the win tomorrow, and they just become more and more difficult. But I think, you know, one thing. You know, I've done this a long time, been in the Atlantic 10, you know, it's that first game, getting comfortable with the court and the rims and the whole atmosphere. And I think the team that plays on the court first has a little bit of an advantage, just because they've played on the court, they know the rims, where, you know, tomorrow, I think, you know, they probably give you 23 minutes to warm up, you know, so we've been out there for 2 hours. So that's an advantage, but then the disadvantage is, you know, we already played, and you know, we gave great energy, but it's been done before, and you know, anything's possible.
Coach Joe Samansky, Giant Killer. Speaking to tomorrow, do you think it was wise? It kind of seemed like you guys had the game in hand there at the under 8. You still ended up keeping Dasonte and Buddy out there on the court for around until the under 2. With the game tomorrow against the physical Mason team, do you think that's a decision that could maybe end up costing you late tomorrow if that game ends up close?
No. We only have 8 guys. That's all we got. And 8 minutes left in the game. I've seen teams lose, you know, up 10 with a minute left. You know, so you can't worry about tomorrow. You got to take care of your business today.
Coach Frank Tabari, Major Basketball. Obviously, this is your final time meeting St. Bonaventure to the Atlantic 10 tournament. Can you describe some of the emotions that you felt coming in throughout the tournament?
Yeah, you know, I've done this a long time. You know, it's time for another voice. You know, as I said in the press conference or after the last game, you know, if I'm only known as Coach Schmidt, I've failed in life. You know, so there's a lot more to me, and I want to do a lot of other things. You know, I'm a firm believer. Hopefully, no one's here at 75. But I think once you get to 75, you know, shit ain't going right. You know, you're in the wheelchair and you get your oxygen tank. All right, I don't want to be 75, you know, with my wife pushing me around in a wheelchair. I want to enjoy what I have left with my family, with my friends in Olean. So yeah, there's no regrets. You know, I've been really lucky to be the head coach. To have this, you know, I never thought when I graduated from Boston College I'd get into coaching. You know, so I've been really blessed and have the opportunity to coach here 19 years in this storied program. I've been really lucky, so there's no sadness. I'm ready to go.
Donovan Cringe, Duquesne Student TV. How did the absence of Jaden Marshall and Jerome Brewer Jr. affect how you went in today compared to your matchup?
Well, yeah, good question. They scored 50 points against us there, so they lost 50 points. So it helped us. You've never seen a good team with bad players. Right? They're two really good players, and one of those guys didn't miss a shot all game. You know, so that helped.
Justin Long, USA Sports. Coach, obviously coaches are always in the spotlight, so you're used to that. But I'm just curious about how comfortable or how different it is just in the last week as, you know, people pay more attention or people pat you on the back or probably people reached out to you.
Yeah.
So the last week is like.
Yeah, I've been really lucky. You know, I've done it for a long time and have really good relationships. And there's a number of people that have reached out. You know, some people that I'm closer to than others. But it's been humbling, you know, the kind words that they've said about me and the program and how we've done things. You don't know, like when you go through it, like you never ever think about, you know, what other people think about you. You know, until it's over, or you're like, oh man, that you know, guys that you respect, that, you know, reach out and give you some praise. You know, that's not what you do it or what I do it for. But it's nice that I've had, you know, what we've done at Bonaventure has been respected nationally, and the people that have reached out, you know, within the league, you know, and you know, outside the league, it's humbling, and it's a good feeling knowing that we did it the right way, and we're respected for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Two more questions.
Coach Amy Morris with
Hi, Amy.
Bonaventure. You know, it's 0-0 start of the tournament. That's something that's easy to say, and it's easy to say when you're in close games. It's another thing to then be able to turn that around.
Yeah.
Is there something about this group, or have you worked with them to be able to get them through that adversity?
Yeah, you know, everybody knows who Jack Nicklaus is, and I'm a big golfer, even though I'm not a very good golfer. Jack Nicklaus once said, and it stuck with me a long, long time ago. Is that Jack Nicklaus?
Tornado warning.
He once said, "You learn how to."
Tornado warning.
Luckily, we're in the base all of us.
Jesus.
Yeah. Can't turn it off.
Let me turn it down. He once said, "You learn how to win by winning." You got to put yourself in a position to win, and you got to learn, and you got to win. You know, there's no thing like you can practice all you want, special situations. You got to be able to pull one out, and then once you pull it out, it's confidence. It's not like when you're in a situation where you keep on losing. It's like, oh, here we go again. And how do you stop? Here you go again. You got to win again. You know, and you know, we haven't done it. You know, we're 0-9. You know, so maybe I'll tell you tomorrow if we can pull one out. But you have to learn. You do it by doing it. You know, and hopefully we can do it.
Okay, last question up front. Are you done?
Is that it? Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.